Thanks for joining me on this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also be sure to follow me on these other social media platforms. Links are in the description below. All right, have and have not fans. Now, really, I'm doing this video because, my gosh, I didn't expect the video I did about, is there too much repetitive dialogue in the series? I didn't expect that video to hit over 1,000 views so quickly. I think within the span of 4 to 5 hours, it hit over 1,000. But yeah, apparently a lot of people had a lot to say on the actual subject, which is good now because I love how the comment section, even though I really don't go through and respond to every comment on every video because, well, that would take a while. But I was actually reading through the comments because they came in incredibly fast. And last time I checked, I think we were over 50 comments, and I actually went ahead and responded to at least half a dozen, especially the ones that really stood out to me with good points. And, people were agreeing. It's like, yeah, man, you're right. I mean, the first couple seasons were really good, but this series now, it's like way too repetitive. Storylines aren't going by fast enough, and repeated dialogue and this and that. And that's why I'm doing like maybe a follow-up video, whatever you want to call it. But just talking about, should Tyler Perry hire more writers, which again is something that I'm pretty sure I did a video on once before, but I figure why not just do another one since, the channel has more people on it now. So maybe we'll get more perspective on this. And one person actually made a comment that I'm not really going to fully go into because I did ask her to provide me with evidence because it is very intriguing. But I believe the username was Beth. I think it was Beth B. I think that was the username on YouTube. You can go and see it in the comments section because I actually responded to that one. And it was talking about how Oprah actually offered Tyler Perry additional writers for the crew, but he refused and then fired the original writers, and then that's why he took everything on himself. Again, I want to get proof before, I do a full video on that particular subject, but that's very intriguing because, I never really heard of it before. And that would explain a lot. It really would. But, I'm pretty sure I'm going to say this in a lot of upcoming videos. Quality over quantity. Once again, Tyler Perry, phenomenal. That, you went from struggling to even get your plays off of the ground. And then eventually, you blew up with the success of Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Then that opened doors to TV with House of Pain, Meet the Browns, For Better or Worse. And the list goes on, movies and whatnot. But at the same time, though, man, it's like too much on your plate. Like, look, I can understand that. Like, if you build something from the ground up by yourself and you get to a level like, correct me if I'm wrong, but is he billionaire status now? I don't know for sure, but I know he's in the multi-millionaire area for real, but I don't really keep up with people. The only time I really know how much people make is when they get on radio and whatnot and articles and they talk about so-and-so got X amount of dollars for Netflix or, their net worth. I don't really go searching for that stuff because honestly, I don't care. But I can understand, like, for one, let's say for example, and I'm only going to use myself because I pretty much know how I started. Okay. So that it really makes sense to me. It's kind of like, this YouTube channel, all done myself. All the profits, aside from, taxes, all that good stuff that the government takes. That's me. I do recognize that would be great if I can get like maybe a couple of extra people to help me out when it comes to maybe spreading the channel around, updating it a bit. And then I'll pay them for their services. But to have a full team of writers like with Tyler Perry is kind of like, you have this hit show. It's kind of like, and again, I really want to get proof before I do a whole video on this in terms of like the writers, because I do believe in the comment that Beth was talking about. It's like, yeah, I heard that, Oprah wanted to get more writers for the show. And then Tyler Perry fired the original writers because they were talking about, oh, when the show actually, gets into syndication and when there are reruns, they would get royalties from it. So then he basically cut them off. Again, I don't have confirmation on that. So just take that information, but don't spread it around because it is not confirmed yet. But could that be why the show isn't on DVD yet? Because if he sold the show like the first few seasons where he did have additional writers, allegedly, they would have to be paid royalties for it. I don't know for sure, but that actually does kind of make sense if that were the case, because again, there are a lot of things behind closed doors that we don't know about. But I just feel like for the good of the actual show, I wish he would get, look, this isn't an advertisement for me, because it is very humbling when people are like, yo man, because you're like an expert on the show, and your what ifs are you sometimes better than the actual story. It would be cool if Tyler Perry could hire you. While that would be amazing, it's just like at the same time I recognize that I'm not perfect myself. I would love to be like a consultant or something like that, you know, if anything, to help with the continuity of the show, to make sure the story flows, because sometimes it seems like 2 episodes back, like episode, and I'm just throwing out numbers here, it's like episode 87 is complete and episode 88 aren't even linked up. It's kind of like characters in episode 87 are flipped on their just in a complete 180 from how they were in episode 87 when you go to episode 88. Inconsistency in storytelling, characters who disappear. It's just crazy to think about. And I even tweeted Tyler Perry, you know, about, well, not that I was expecting a response, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of irking me that it hasn't been confirmed yet. But I am in the mindset, and when I say mindset, I don't mean headcanon, like, oh, I'm just making this up. But in terms of the reality of the show, it should and still is in 2013, the exact year that it started in 2013. There hasn't even been a solid 3 months of time that have passed on this show. And I've already done a video breaking that down. I mean, you can go look for it. I think I even titled it, How Much Time Has Passed in This Show. I don't want to get into the details here, but just looking at the time frame of Melissa's pregnancy up into the time frame of when Jim said he was going to run for governor, and Maggie Day saying let's push back the announcement a couple of weeks due to the Lil Lizzy murder and the hit and run incident, Lil Lizzy and Benny Young. But it just doesn't make sense, you know, like the whole Trump Nation, baby, Black Lives Matter, and then the list goes, and even this election for Charles running for president and winning the election. None of it makes sense when you compare real world time to the time in which the haves and the have-nots actually started. But again, it's Tyler Perry's world in terms of, I'm talking about, you know, like Tyler Perry Studios, Tyler Perry have-nots. He does what he wants, and this isn't me just, you know, like throwing him under the bus or anything. That's not at all what I'm doing, because again, if I didn't love this show, I wouldn't be doing a channel about it. I would be doing another television program that I love. But I just feel like, and somebody actually made a very good comment. She was like, I think it was she, I forgot who said this, but it was a comment that I read on my other video about how, look, man, Tyler Perry is crazy. This show is done with. You need to just end it already and then move on to the next one and start over from scratch. I will say this much, because we do know there is an unnamed drama series that Tyler Perry will be doing for BET once it moves over to Viacom. I would rather have the haves and the have-nots in on a conclusive note, allegedly in season 7. I don't know for sure, but I would rather have it end before it just goes the route of a Simpsons or a Family Guy or a SpongeBob. I know those are kind of bad examples, but they're animated shows. I'm really just trying to say any television program or series that has gone past its prime, where you can tell it's just being made for the sake of, well, it's just making the creators more money and I'll just keep doing it. It just sucks, because to see this show, which started out so promising, the writing was clever, and everything I said in my other video about the wittiness, the rare occurrence of bleeping, like whenever a character did use a curse word that was bleep, you know they meant business, as opposed to 5 or 6 curse words being bleeped within the same 5-minute scene, which doesn't really do much for the scene. It just turns an episode of The Haves and the Have-Nots into an episode of Jerry Springer or Maury. That's really what it's about. Keep in mind that I'm not saying this show is terrible. It's just not as good. That's really the problem. And it's the same thing I had with The Pains. We saw House of Pain and how amazing that was. And then you look at The Pains, which is just trash in comparison. And it's just sad, because you saw Tyler Perry at such a high level with a House of Pain, but then it just, I guess you could say he just, I don't even know what to say, just like toboggan or fell off the edge of the Empire State Building and crashed into the sidewalk. And that's The Pains. That's what makes it so, no pun intended, painful to watch, because when I used to watch The Pains, it's like, this is like that one student who knows they're going to pass the class. It's like, oh, final exam, and trust and believe, I've done this before. And it's like, okay, let's see. I have a 97 in the class. In order to pass, I need at least a 70 in the course. I can get like a 13 on this final exam and still have like an 85 in the class. So not to say I bombed exams purposely. It's just like I knew after 5 questions I answered, okay, those 5 questions put together are like 17 points. So automatically I'm going to pass the class. I'll just, I don't just fluff the rest of the exam. I do my best, of course, but that's how I kind of feel. Here's another example. Bobby Brown story, part 1, when Tommy went to confront his brother after his mom blamed him for everything that Bobby did. It's like, he's not paying for his house. It's like, you say that he's locked up in the house with Whitney and they get high all the time. And remember when his brother confronted him about like how the Bobby album didn't do as well as Don't Be Cruel? Because you didn't put the same amount of work into it. You're not hungry anymore. I kind of feel like that's how Tyler Perry is. That's not to say that he's lazy. It's because obviously that is far from the truth due to the fact that he's working so hard, new projects, new product. And I do need to do a video because I actually did see something on Instagram very interesting about a bunch of different television shows that are now coming over to Tyler Perry Studios, the new facility to record, like Wild 'N Out, Divorce Court, just to name a couple. Very impressive, but once again, that's a separate video. It's just that I feel like the Haves and the Have-Nots was so phenomenal when it first came out because that was Tyler Perry's first step into a new realm of television. Sure, we saw drama, soap opera-esque elements in his movies, but they really didn't have the same level of effect as the Haves and the Have-Nots. And that's why it was so damn good when it came out. But, as time went on, when Love Thy Neighbor came out, if I'm not mistaken, Love Thy Neighbor came out before the Haves. Oh, excuse me. The Haves and the Have-Nots and Love Thy Neighbor came out around the same time, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think maybe after the first season of the Haves and the Have-Nots, or the first season and a half, that's when If Loving You Is Wrong first came out. And as those shows were being created, that's when the Haves and the Have-Nots began to slowly decline in terms of quality. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Trust and believe, I've talked with a lot of fans about this. But, like, I can understand, like, hey, if I'm the one that worked hard building the house and then a few other people come in to fine-tune, put in the doors and whatnot, it's going to be hard to want to split anything with them because I'm the one that put in most of the work. But at the same time, would that house be up to the same level of quality if it wasn't for the other people in there? So it's like, I'm just going to kick them to the curb and let this show decline in terms of the quality, but the ratings are still good. I mean, the ratings are still good, but I just feel like the show isn't what it used to be. And once again, if there are any of the cast members watching this, please know and believe that I love and respect you all, and I enjoy the conversations. And this is like a disclaimer, which I say in probably all of my Pains videos. I have no problem with the people working on the show. That is not the case whatsoever. I enjoy tuning in. But the show itself is not as good as it used to be. And I mean, I'm not asking any of those people who work for Tyler Perry to comment on this. I'm not trying to put your job in jeopardy. I am just a hardcore fan that loves this show and isn't a person who's just going to sugarcoat everything. This is my favorite show on television right now, without a doubt. And you all know me, like, back pre-painting of my apartment walls, you saw my posters and everything, and like, I love anime and whatnot, but this is like the first adult show that I've enjoyed in quite some time. This obviously doesn't include, like, The Flash and Black Lightning because those are superhero shows, but in terms of a legitimate drama, I think as an adult, this is my first soap opera that I enjoy. Like, obviously growing up, I think I saw the memes and everything, I'm not saying black kids are the only one that had to experience this, but I know from my life and a lot of my friends too, whenever you're staying at your auntie's house or at your grandparents' house, oh, you knew about this, not the soap operas, their stories. All My Children, General Hospital, As the World Turns, just to name a few. But yeah, this was definitely my first soap opera that I just enjoy watching week to week. But I mean, you can blow up as many cards as you want to, Tyler Perry. You can have as many cat fights as you want to, Tyler Perry. But if the quality of the storytelling isn't good, then I don't even care. Like, why should I care about Candace wanting this money when it's not really hers? Why should I care that Veronica wants to kill anybody that touches her or force her son to be straight. At first, it was an intriguing storyline. I'm not saying I'm agreeing what she's doing, but it felt like her character was really going somewhere. But then when you turn her into some just wicked, crazy bitch, or as David said, what do you say? Cruel, vindictive, simple bitch. When you don't really give any background to it, how she got to this point, it doesn't really intrigue me. It is impressive to watch, but if there's no character in it, I'm not interested in it. But that's just me. That's just me. So I'm not really looking for this video to be a rant or to say I'm quit watching the show. That is not the case. I'm riding this bus until the end of the route. Just like Jim. Just like when Jim had to ride that bus after he was let out of the war room. I got my ticket from episode 1 into however long this show goes on. But I will say this much. I pray and I hope and pray that the new drama series that Tyler Perry does for BET is a fresh start. That you look at everything done wrong with the haves and the have-nots, at least in the past couple seasons, and improve upon it. Hire people. Hire people. Like, I get it. Like, if you've birthed a show, that's great. But keep in mind that, you know, sometimes it takes more than one person to nurture something until it fully blossoms. So if you need to hire more writers, hire more writers. Because there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people like me who have been watching this show from episode 1 to the present. And we know you can do better. Because this show was phenomenal when it started, man. Like, I'm talking 3 or 4 different trending topics on Twitter were the haves and the have-nots, Candace, Jim, Veronica. It would be multiple characters trending, not just HAHN or back in the day have and have-nots. So if you need to hire more writers, then hire them. If not, I mean, that creates opportunity because those people who work for you could possibly do spinoffs for shows or become bigger writers themselves and produce movies. Like, again, it is amazing that you are doing so well, Tyler Perry, but when you need help, get the help because it creates opportunities. It allows people to see the shows in a consistent fashion that I get it. It's a show. It's not real life. But when you take the reality, when you have when I say normal viewers, I mean people who just regularly watch the show. They might not be diehard super fans like, you know, like I guess you could say some of us. But when you have people who usually don't chime in, talk about how inaccurate some of the stuff is in terms of David's burn wounds or this guy running for president but trying to hook up with a prostitute, and just a couple of examples, and people dying without any investigations any thorough investigations going on, or these trials that never go on for these people who allegedly committed these crimes. It makes no damn sense. So with that being, you know, I want to stop right here. And I don't want to, I feel like I can go on like a 40-minute rant, not just a cool, calm, and collected conversation, but a rant about this show. But I love, in closing, I still love the haves and the have-nots. I'm not making these videos to just complain. It's like, Jeremy, you're just up here complaining, trying to get views. That's not it. I'm just doing this mini series of videos, so to speak, because since the show has returned after a 3-week, well, technically a 2-week hiatus, and then it returned this past Tuesday, it's just that a lot of people have been voicing their opinions more than during the hiatus, because a lot of people like myself do feel cheated because and I've said this even after the last episode, not this past episode, but the episode before. Well, it's only off for a couple of weeks, guys. It's no big deal. We'll just wait for it to come back. It's better than 2 or 3 months. Not to mention the fact that I said, well, this isn't a season premiere in Stronger Together, so I'm not expecting it to be this episode taking care of a lot of plot points. But I expected a lot more than what we got. Let's just put it that way. I mean, to have us waiting for like 3 weeks until a new episode, and the episode was like, I think I gave the episode like a 7 or a 7.5 because of drawn out scenes, things not making sense. And I did my 20-minute episode review. You can catch that on the channel too. But the show doesn't really excite me to the same level that it used to. If anything else, 2018 has had me more excited because we've gotten more have and have not episodes than ever before in a given year, but there haven't been as many episodes to keep me intrigued. And somebody, and this is the last thing, somebody said something very, very good on my last video, how the episodes don't live up to the promos. That is so damn true. The promos get me pumped. It's like a movie trailer where the trailer looks amazing, but then when you get to the actual film, it's like, what the hell? Like, what was that? So, yes, but in any case, still watching the show. If anybody's from the show watching this, of course, guys, nothing against y'all. We'll still talk. No big action. Got a few people I need to message right now from the haves and the have-nots. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that Tyler Perry should hire more writers? Do you feel like, there's too much on his plate? And again, I'm not trying to sound like a hater of anything. God continue to bless him and his family. It is phenomenal where he came from to where he is now, and I hope he does even better in the future. More opportunities, more projects, but at the same time, you don't have to shoulder the load all by yourself, because I'd rather you have a team of writers and people not only watch the show but praise the show because it's so damn good, rather than the ratings to still be up, but at the same time more people are complaining about the show and how unrealistic it is, how repetitive the dialogue is, I mean, 2018 has been a surprise. I'm sorry. I sound like I did get my couple of degrees in seminary, so I sound like a black Baptist preacher. It's like, okay, I'm going to finish, but then I continue on for another 20 minutes or so. It's just astounding because there are so many Veronica and Candace fans, people I have been talking with for years, who have said they have gotten sick of the characters because a lot of people jumped ship on Candace after she sent Malik after her mom. People are just sick of Veronica just because of the fact that she's still not over the fact that her son is legitimately gay. And what kind of message is that supposed to send? Like, literally, okay, I get it. Like, homophobic people are, well, I guess you could say put in the same category as racist in terms of, like, oh, well, white people who don't like black people, or straight or heterosexual people who don't like gay people. I could be wrong, but again, I don't really know the exact phrasing or the terms used, but in terms of like, is a racist as bad as a homophobe, or are they just the same? They're the same type of person, but they dislike different people. Is that right? Somebody, I'm sure somebody will straighten it out in the comments for me. But it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so she hates her son being gay, or let me put it this way: she doesn't look. It's one thing that you don't accept your son being gay, but it's another when you don't even recognize it, because if you claim that your son isn't gay, then what are you trying to fix? And this is something that really showed itself when, what was it, when she walked in on Justin and Jeffrey in the condo, and she literally got to the point where Justin is the one that's putting Jeffrey into this mess. So basically, Justin is at fault for Jeffrey being, well, going through a phase. I want to put it in Veronica terms because she would never say that Jeffrey's gay. So that goes back to what, like season 2, season 3, whenever she saw Jeffrey with Landon. So remember that one time where Jeffrey legitimately kissed Landon in front of Veronica and she was speechless. So is Landon to blame for that? Did Landon make Jeffrey kiss him? See what I mean? I'm starting to like lose my brain is starting to melt trying to make sense out of the that's, yeah, you know what, in closing, and I mean it this time, I feel like he needs people to help him write or rewrite the character motives. What drives these characters to do what they do? That's what made the first few seasons so damn good. You knew why people were doing shit. It's like it was a mystery as to, okay, they're doing this, but what's the end result and stuff like. It's like you knew the motive behind their actions, you just didn't know exactly what it was leading to, and that's really how my theories got started. So guys, once again, I would say sorry, but I'm not sorry for making this video like almost triple the length that it should have been. But I just feel like this is something that I really wanted to speak on because a lot of you wanted to speak on it as well. I mean, well, not that you wanted to, but you have spoken, whether it be in my live streams, whether it be in the comments of my videos and Facebook posts. But Tyler Perry, if you're listening, hire some people. Like, it doesn't have to be me. Like, again, this is not a promotional video to get me on board with Tyler Perry Studios. That is not the case at all. This is just the fact that I'm a major fan of the show. I know it could be better. Like, it is phenomenal to look at, like, the camera angles, the quality of the episodes in terms. It's like all show but no substance. That's the problem. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let me know if there are any other, I guess you could say, reoccurring problems with the show that you feel like should be fixed. I want to just take a shot in the dark here. I feel like a lot of the comments on this video will be about storylines that are unresolved, characters not getting what's coming to them, and too many commercials when the show is live on OWN. So again, thank you for making it. If you made it this far in the video, you're a trooper. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for being on this channel. Just a quick shout out. We're almost, I think, a little over 100 subscribers away from 47,000. Once we hit 50,000 subscribers, that's when I'm going to be doing the major Walmart gift card giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. Go out there, help me get subscribers, and God bless you. All have a wonderful night. If it's morning when you're watching this, just have a wonderful day.